In 1954, about 10,000 West Indians came to Britain. In 1955, it is believed another 15,000 will make the long journey. Already their coming has caused a national controversy, but one point must always be borne in mind. Whatever our feelings, we cannot deny them entry, for all are British citizens and, as such, are entitled to the identical rights of any member of the Empire. Now the end of their journey is near. What will they find in the land they regard as an El Dorado? Somerleyton Road houses many of the 3,500 immigrants who have settled in Lambeth. Not exactly the paradise so many expected. At number 49, Mr. and Mrs. Austin live comfortably with their children. They are lucky, for many of their fellow immigrants have been crowded 6 or 7 to a room with a weekly rent of 30 shillings each. Mrs. Morgan and Miss Edna Young have lived in England happily for 2 years. Samuel Davis works as a machinist, though he is a qualified commercial teacher. He too counts himself lucky. The labour exchange usually finds jobs for the immigrants within a few days, if they're employable. Some, it must be remembered, have never tackled any of the jobs that are vacant. But for many, there will be wage packets of £9 or £10 a week, and contrary to reports, the influx of West Indians does not cause unemployment amongst the white workers. There is work for all, coloured and white. At a nursery in Cold Harbour Lane, their children are cared for whilst the parents are at work. The children are often the main reason for a West Indian's emigration. My child, he says, must have a better education than me. It is a policy that can only bring good to the British colonies. A plea for controlled immigration was taken to the Colonial Office by Lambeth's Mayor, Councillor White. There is an acute housing problem in the borough. 10,000 are on the waiting list, and naturally, a further Jamaican influx is not favoured. When interviewed by our reporter, the Mayor put forward an answer to the problem.
First and foremost, of course, is the long-term policy that ultimately will have to be adopted. And that is the development of the West Indies themselves, because that is the only answer to this particular problem.
The West Indies, the travel brochures tell one, are gay, sunlit islands, a tourist's paradise. The West Indian who works in the sugar plantations for a few shillings a day thinks differently. True, his music is gay and his homeland sunny, but hundreds of his friends have no work and there is no dole. Many years ago, Lloyd George referred to the islands as the slums of the Empire. The ramshackle, overcrowded houses tell why. In the markets, there is food for those who can afford it. For those who cannot, Britain seems to provide an answer. Eagerly, they borrow their £80 fare. The market in Brixton is, for them, a happier place than a market in the tourist's paradise they have left. Much of the outcry against the immigrants arises from the colour bar, which legally does not exist in Britain. Nevertheless, we accept with little criticism the fact that thousands of white foreigners, including 15,000 former enemies, have made their homes in this country. Bill Strachan, in the centre, came from Jamaica during the war. He became an officer in the Royal Air Force and flew as a bomber pilot. Bill, who now works in a council office, sums up the feelings of West Indians who wish to settle in Britain.
People from the West Indies here have no enmity towards any British people, and in fact will be a strength to them and are extremely ambitious. I can assure trade unionists that there will be no problem with them undercutting trade unionists, and I can assure them that they will help in the cultural life in this country, and every attempt on their part is at social integration and being completely happy and cooperative with the British people.
Racial violence flared up in Notting Hill last week. Soon became obvious that underneath the hysteria and the hooliganism there were many genuine grievances on both sides. The purpose of this report is to dig a little deeper into those grievances. To do this, I teamed up with Ernest Eitel, a West Indian cricket commentator and journalist who's lived in this country for 21 years. Eitel and I came down to Notting Hill together. He interviewed white people and I interviewed coloured people.
Now, how long have you been living here?
17 years.
Mm-hmm. Have you had any trouble from coloured people living in this district?
Well, yeah, in a way, you know, you might be walking on your own along the road and they tell you to get off the pavement, you know.
They tell you to get off the pavement? Yes.
Don't tell you, but they walk straight towards you, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, have you been at any fights with them?
Well, been there, you know, and seen it going on.
Mm-hmm. Now, you were telling me a while ago about living in a house where they have a club underneath you.
Oh, I don't live in the house, but I've seen it, you know, there's lots of them up in, you know, all around the place, Bramley Road, all around here, there's clubs and that.
Have you got anything against these coloured people who live here?
Well, not the majority is, you know, they're bad, you know what I mean? I think we've got the worst in Notting Hill.
You do?
Yeah, because, you know, they've got girls on the game and all that, and, you know, it's just, I think we've got the worst, you know.
Where do you come from?
From Nigeria.
How long have you been here?
10 months ago.
What are you doing here?
I'm studying.
Were you attacked last week?
I was attacked.
What happened?
Well, I was away to pictures. On my return, I found that my house and the windows has been smashed to pieces.
Why do you think this was done?
Well, I have no idea.
Did you expect anything like this to happen?
I've never expected anything of such.
Has it made you want to leave England?
Well, practically, it has made me too fed up. And now I am contemplating to remove from this area.
You own this cafe at the back of us here?
Yes.
Now, do you serve both races of people in this district?
I have done so.
But not now?
Not now, no.
Why is that?
Well, the simple reason I've not come in.
Have you barred any people from coming into the cafe?
No, I've not barred anybody at all.
Well, now, what about the trouble in the district? Do you think that the coloured people ought not to live in this district?
Well, I wouldn't say the coloured people shouldn't live here, but I certainly say that there's a large element that should be taken out because they're living on women and one thing and the other.
Is this question of living on women a specific thing in this district?
Yes, it is rather bad round here.
Why is that?
I don't know, maybe it's the overcrowding. But my own personal opinion is this, that I happen to know plenty of white people who can't get a home, yet these people continually come in the country, and even these children got much to look forward to as far as getting married or going to get a bit older, aren't they? They can't get homes. People around the corner waited 4 years, I know, with a child.
Well, why can't the coloured people get homes and the white people can't?
Well, from what I understand, that they all club together and they simply buy a place up, just like that.
Well, why can't the white people do that?
Because the money's not there.
Do you think there are some coloured people who give the rest a bad name?
Well, you have got good and bad in both races, and I don't think for the little damage that our black sheep could have done or have done could have caused this on such a large scale.
Mr. Bramley, you run this pub in this street. Have you had any trouble from coloured people in the district?
Not in the house itself, no, I will say that. The only thing is wrong around here is that a lot of houses around here are run as brothels and that sort of thing, which is altogether wrong.
Now, can you hear any noise from the houses here at nights?
Yes, there has been until 4:30 in the morning, noise which has kept lots of people awake.
And do you think that's at the root of the trouble?
It's a lot to do with it, yes.
Are there coloured people here who do cause trouble themselves?
Well, I never caused none.
But are there any coloured people here you think who give offence in any way?
I don't know. But I never caused none. That's the reason why the district people here love me.
If they attack my countrymen, then they have attacked me as well. And if they attack us, then it means that we're going to make certain that we get the last hit. If they do not attack us, they have no fear of us. But if they attack, then we'll fight back.
Most of the people I talked to seemed annoyed about coloured people keeping brothels in the district. They also agreed that only a minority of them did this, but their annoyance seemed quite genuine. They also felt that most of the coloured people in the country were honest people doing an honest job of work, but they were very embittered about prostitution in the district.
I think Ernest Eitel would agree with me that we haven't really found out what caused this week's riots. Coloured people were very reluctant to come before the camera, but all of them that I spoke to, in front of the camera and away from it, seemed honestly bewildered as to why the riots had happened, and also denied that coloured people in the area were any worse than anyone else. What really concerns all of us now is whether these riots are going to reoccur, whether they'll happen again.